So again, dear friends, everybody who's attending today's session or listening to this session, and above all, my dear friend Mar, who was able to put a beautiful network of wisdom and knowledge together, friends who are interested in this very sort of essential topic for the future evolution of humanity, I would say, which are networks. Today's topic is how to lead and engage with networks. This is the 5th year, actually the 6th year, 5.5 years since eco-civilization movement started to evolve and reach far throughout different continents, trying to really touch people around the world and bring the topics that matter to those who are ready to engage. Purpose of the Year of Leadership Challenge, the reason why we decided to go for this is because we realized that there is a growing number of leadership schools around the world. There is a growing number of leadership courses around the world. But somehow, when we look around, it seems that at least in the Western civilization, it's a strange way of leading nations. So we said, okay, let's go and raise the awareness about what is happening to leaderships today, challenge the concepts within which the leadership roles are being delivered, and dare to go even beyond and challenge the concept itself. Is it still delivering on the needs of people and the planet? And of course, we're all invited to imagine and practice something new, something that we feel deeply inside that it's calling to be manifested in this new reality. The whole Year of Leadership Challenge is brought to you by 4 different networks. And even through that, we try to demonstrate that cross-pollination and cross-connection and cross-collaboration and innovation might be the future we are looking for. Because only when you bring enough diversity, this diversity can actually imagine solutions for this complex world that we have been developing throughout centuries. Besides Mar, there is also Andrea Codrin and Lev Gordon, who have delivered several sessions in the past. But today, it's my incredible pleasure to join strengths together again with my dear friend Mar Introini, who's also a G100 chair. Like me, we're both proud chairs of G100 movement, 100 projects that are led by 100 women around the world, trying to contribute its own little share to a better world. What is eco-civilization? Just really quickly, it's been a movement happening for 5.5 years. Our first phase, it's going to be 30 years. So we hope in the first phase of these 30 years, we will learn the basic behavior of not only movement, but civilizations, and be able to understand, can civilization be actually observed and steered and stewarded, or do they happen beyond human interaction and influence? Currently, we see ourselves as a disruptive global cluster of people who care. This is the most important word. People who care regardless of profession or the social or any other interest groups that they belong to. The only important thing is that they care about themselves and life around them, and they are willing to engage in order to create a more balanced world. We try to create conditions for safe engagement, collaboration, and innovation, and of course, potentially contribute a little piece to the emerging foundation of future civilization. One of the biggest challenges that we put on the table so far is invitation to imagine new structures within which humanity can evolve. No matter how advanced projects we deliver as civilization, they seem to be somehow crippled and they don't deliver the expected results. And I dare to speculate that that is because they're pushed in the old structures, which do not honor collaboration, horizontal engagements, that actually the challenges we are facing are calling for. So yes, we do believe that new mindset will seek new organizational structures, and we invite everyone to imagine. We're not saying that this is the only possible way forward, but showing that we can imagine the societies in a different way, hopefully will encourage others to also try to imagine something new. Because the fact is, whatever we live today, somebody imagined. Okay, so that gives me enormous courage and motivation that we there as generation imagine something fresh and new as well. And before I pass my word to Mar, I would like to share a couple of observations that I put together as a learnings from this 5.5 years of eco-civilization movement, which is actually a network. And whole dynamics is based on networks logic. The first hypothesis is that leading and engaging with networks differs fundamentally from leading within hierarchies. I base that on some of my own research of 15 years and so, that resulted in some sort of model of system evolution where I show that you have different types of organizations, and networks are just another organizational structure. And these different types are based on different elements for value creation and have a completely different relationship with structures and people who engage in those structures. So besides working, learning, and thinking environment, there is yet another that started to evolve more and more often, which is so-called self-conscious environment. And I would dare to say that that is the basis for network logic. If network wants to be successful and wants to really be prosper and thrive on a long, sustainable manner, needs a high level of consciousness being developed within the network of all the members and all active participants. So more we look at the system evolution, more we see that overall system consciousness plays a very important role. It's not here a place today to go too deep into it, but hopefully we'll have another opportunity. But all I wanted to say here is that the networks, yes, indeed, they have their own logic, their own way of behavior. And it's, for me, in order to have it in a sustainable manner, high level of consciousness needs to be, members needs to hold in the space. And of course, in order to deliver, we can say immediately that within those networks, it is not about command and control, but about sensing, connecting, and facilitating a flow. If we take a look again, very briefly, the structure within the evolution of systems, we see that if we want to be successful in networks, we somehow need to address all elements that create value, even in the environments with a lower level of consciousness. So yes, we need to take care of productivity, quality, innovation, and at the end, because it's a horizontal structure where so many different elements directly engage with each other, intuition plays an extremely important role as well. The third hypothesis that I'm now observing closely is that networks cannot be led, but I would rather argue that they have to be nurtured and stewarded. So they need a caring, safe, and fertilized space to thrive. And this is something that requires also members and participants to be at least on the same level than the structure within which they engage is. So last but not least, what we can already see that within networks, we are moving from the concept of power over something, somebody, to empower within or with. I'd rather even say that we strengthen our collaboration, not power it. The second one is that we move from strategy and structure per se, the fixed structure we're used in hierarchical organizations, to sensing and responding. And from ownership to stewardship, and from ecosystems into really ecosystems, ecological, dynamic, living spaces. So at the end, what I'd like to say as a summary so far from these last 5 years of experiences is that for me, networks are some sort of living systems that have their own rhythm and their own dynamics, that are very sensitive, and in order to really understand it, intuition starts playing a very important role. But now I'm more than happy to hear your experiences and learn, and I know that at the end of the session, we will all know more. Just a few more information. At the end of the Year of Leadership Challenge, we're planning to publish a book where all the authors and some invited participants will add their own thoughts and experiences on this topic, Leadership Challenge, and we're hoping to publish it at the end of spring next year. We have one more session coming before we have a big wrap-up session, which is Intuitive Leadership and Co-Creation, which is going to be on November 13. But we also lead to other topics this year, the Year of Mental Health, which the next session is in 22nd of October. And we'll also finish this year. But in October this year, the beginning of October, we started a new series of talks and discussions called The Soul of the City. And the next section on this topic, which is called Sacred Ecology from Water and Soil to Soul, which will be November 5th. So that's all from my side. And now, Mar, the word is yours.
Thank you so very much, Violeta. Our Her Excellency Violeta Bulc, that is the creator, founder of this space that allow us and further what is debate, what is discussion. No, we truly believe in what is listening to others to learn. And it was in these learning processes, along with Violeta, that I learned the concept of cross-pollination. It was through you, Violeta. So thank you for that, because this cross-pollination, this idea that we are a global giant hive, where we are all little bees, that we are working together to cross-pollinate and to build something new. So thank you so much for this amazing presentation. I will present all the speakers later. I would just make my own and humble introduction of what I think it should be this session, or how to lead and engage with networks. So let me share my screen. When I was working on this presentation, I say we need to lead, we need to engage, but how we do it. So this is about, first of all, recycling leadership. We cannot do it in the same way that we did it before. Then the second part, that is resilience. How we could be resilient, leading in a different way. And of course, mindset. And what Violeta says, there is a lot of intuition. No? There is more about ancestral, human, and what is exploring what deepest on what is our mind. Today we have, for example, Veronica Silva from Chile. She's a psychologist, so she will shine light also on what is going deep on our minds. So I follow what you say, Violeta, imagine and practice. And I start imagining it. So a network, what is a network? Well, for me, a network is like an octopus. Yes, that was the first image that came to my mind when I thought about what means to be in a network. A network, an octopus, as you probably know.
Mar, perfect. Now we see your presentation. Before we couldn't see. Could you put it in a presentation mode, please? It would be easier for everyone.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
No, thank you. So when I was thinking on, sorry, 1 second. When I was thinking of a network, first of all, I see it as an animal. It's an animal, quite wild in a sense. And with 8 tentacles that represent what is a network. First of all, an octopus is a highly intelligent animal. Networks are like that. They hold memory of what is printed in each action, in each initiative, and evolve almost alone by themselves and keep memories that could uplift them or could destroy them. Also, they have very good abilities to solve problems. Networks, through the challenge we see it through pandemics, through financial crisis, they create their own rules and conditions to evolve and to fix their internal frictions in a way that is completely different what we could do it from a traditional leadership idea. They're also very flexible. Octopus could squeeze through the small cracks, and networks do that. And that's why they survive. If not, they could sink, and they never sink in reality. It's the people who kill them, not the network in itself. Octopuses can regenerate itself. If they lost one of their tentacles, they can detach itself and regenerate without causing irreversible damage. Networks regenerate part of their own when they are broken, but without losing their essence. That is the most important. They hold what is called a siphon of water. It's a siphon that allows to expel water, and then they move forward through that. And networks do that, and you know what is that siphon? Is creativity. To evolve and become different, expelling that siphon of water each time they wanted to move to a different stage. And they have a very important reserve of ink that they allow them to escape from the predators. And we have predators in networks. Social media could become the most negative, distractive way if we don't use it correctly. But what do we have in the networks? What is the ink? The ink is intellectual construction, knowledge share, and what we started saying by Violeta, the cross-pollination. This is our ink. And they camouflage. They blend in almost instantly in these surroundings. And the networks adapt to the condition. They camouflage in different circumstances under an intellectual network, under empowerment network, or our personal empowerment network, even if it looks professionally. And finally, they imitate the colors in shape and textures. And networks imitate the colors, tradition, cultures of each members to the point that they create a new one. So that is why it's so incredible, octopus and the network. So what we could do to that with this animal, that wild animal that move by their own? Well, for me, when we are talking about leading and engage with networks, we have two options. You lead the network, but you don't engage, or you engage without the leader. So what you do when you lead but not engage? Networks is like you have water on your hand. If you press too much, you lose it. So you cannot try to control them. They process go by their own uniquenesses. Therefore, you do not engage with the rest. You engage, but you don't lead. This is quite frustrating when you are trying to build a new network. Though that means that you are interacting, exchanging, connecting, knowledge sharing, but you don't lead properly because the group is building their own synergy. That means a true leadership. So what is that? What is the leadership from the networks but their own? What is this animal telling us? Well, this for me, what is next for us? What is the challenge that we have next? And that's why I developed, was one of the reasons that when you submerge into the depth on the unknown, no? When you dare to do that, it becomes about leadership zero. You have heard that zero meditation, zero waste. But this is not simply zero landfill. No, it's a whole process of management for whom all the elements are in a process of repurposing. You became a true leader, but given leadership to others in an horizontal way that changes with time and specific goals. So when you cling to a network, is one way for you to accept the challenge to recycle your concept of leadership and learn from entities as octopus that hold their own personality. You are present without expecting to be followed. Networks run by their own siphon of water, creating synergies, but stop with expectation. Stop it. A process that demands resilience, as I say at the beginning, a positive attitude, extreme patience, and tolerance. So in the end, it's zero leadership, 100% network. So this is my idea, what networks are about. I will stop share. And now I don't know if you would like to make comments, Violeta. If not, I start presenting the speakers.
No, thank you very much, Mark. There was a great use of the octopus image because it's true. Very great picture of network you painted, because octopuses are really smart, but they have their own world, and either you respect them or you lose a lot. So thanks a lot, really wonderful. Please.
Thank you, Violeta. I will start presenting the speakers. We have two new one, but new one just because of this series. They are not new one. That is Claudia Cataldi and Anita Shukla from Germany and from Brazil. Thank you so much for this last very minute. They accept this camouflage, that we adapted to the circumstances. They accept this siphon water of creativity and say, yes, I will be there. So thank you for that. You are part of the network. You are networkers, really. I start presenting you first, and welcome to this series. And also this kind of generosity, accepting the spontaneity. So this is something that we need in networks deeply. So we have Claudia Cataldi from Brazil.
Yes. So,
Yes, it's just 1 second, please.
oh, okay.
Introduce you. Is a Brazilian journalist and international correspondent in 8 countries. It's a lawyer and political scientist with several published books, doctoral researcher in communication, cables, alumni of the Brazilian World College, and professor of governance and compliance for state legislator. Claudia, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Anita Shukla from Germany is a seasoned communication and networking pro. I could guarantee you that she is like that. A bridge builder for global success, partnership, health tech, CEO of India AU Consulting, human-centric AI, artificial intelligence. You are going to make contacts and have feelings with Valerie Santot, with no doubts about that. A Woman Tech Network Council and belong also to She 100, same as Claudia. Then we have Valerie Santot, our dearest Valerie Santot, our professor, our university lady, a professor in Hamburg and Lille on legal tech, innovation, and artificial intelligence. You wanted to add something more, Valerie? You are very welcome to do so.
No, I was just loving your art of networking in real time, live, bringing the bone, the flesh, the heart, the love. And I was just admiring your way of weaving wisdom between the speakers. So just to give that on the go, on the run to you back, Mark.
Thank you so much, Valerie. I think it's management of wilderness. You know, that I get used to that. And then we have from Chile. I love this. No, Brazil, Chile, Sweden, Germany, Spain, Slovenia. Veronica is founder and general manager of Media B Foundation, communication and educator innovator. I read it, you know, I know that for many years we work with Veronica, but because I read it because I don't want to make any mistakes.
Thank
You know? And then we are going to have two videos, very short videos. I ask especially to be very short because this is meant to be a discussion, not but we are going to listen to them. That I think it would be great for two speakers of this series. That is Eleonora Bonacosa from Germany, international leadership and business coach, founder and CEO of Areta, New Perspective for Leaders, a keynote speaker and top voice author of 6 leadership skills book that I really recommend you. And finally, we are going to have Natasha Crackleby. She is from head of international department at University Mediterranean Podgorica. She's a lecturer at Faculty of Visual Arts Montenegro as well, that she sent us our short video. With no more delays, I will pass the word to Valerie, if she don't mind. And after we listen to Valerie and Veronica, we are going directly to our free key best question that we find to enter deep, to go deep in this discussion. Valerie, the floor is all yours, as always.
I just wanted to clarify, do you want me to start with my answer to the 3 question, or do you want me to start with the presentation?
And then we go then we go with the run questions. So we are going to be the one and then one by one. Okay. So go directly to the presentation, please.
Okay, excellent. So let me start by trying to explain in very briefly why am I going to go on to the topic of embodied leadership and embodied networking, because I think that I've been thinking a lot about what is a network, how do you define a network, how do you find your place in a network, how does a network get a life, and what are the life cycle of a network. And then I started to think, like, whatever academic or managerial or business definition I was reading about a network, I was finding them relatively unsatisfactory. And so I started to try and really reflect, following one red thread in my exploration and research, which is what in a living ecosystem could teach me about networking. And it took quite some time, and I came to realize that networks are relatively close in their functioning and in their texture and characteristic to systems. And then I kept on asking myself, what living system is really an archetype of a network, and actually an archetype of system of networks? And I came to realize that basically our human body has exactly these characteristic. And what I try to do with the work I present you today is an exploration, informed by the question, but different to the answer that I may give in another while to the question, is to say, okay, if we try to inform our thinking by something which is alive versus something which is a human, cultural, intellectual representation of a network, how could that work? And basically what I did is I took the 12 systems of the body that are basically networks. So the cardiovascular system is a network. The integumentary, which is the skin, or the urinary, or the digestive, or the nervous system, or the cardiovascular. And when you start to appreciate and kind of embody in a neutral way, not in a political way, but in a biological, in a natural, in a life-centric way, the concept of network, it starts to get quite of an interesting conversation, because we see that networks are interdependent and there are many, and they have different function, and they have a chronobiology. And so I would like to offer the metaphor or thinking of our place and our relation to network, the way we could think to the different network that constitute us, that is really the substance we are made of. And in that logic, I have been, and I'm not going to bore you with every detail, but I've been mapping the body and the different part of the system of the body to different organizational department or societal function, and then learn from each of them. You can't read the slide, that's not the purpose. I just want to show you that behind what I'm gonna continue to explore with you, there are the 12 system of the body. There is the what nature teaches us and informs us very concretely about the functioning of healthy cyclical networks. And that's the metaphor that I invite you to ponder about. And I'm gonna really just very briefly go into the, if you wish, wisdom or the overarching wisdom of the 12 body system, so that it's a sort of manifesto with concrete guiding principle and interrelated building blocks that every one of us can verify for ourselves. It is not obeying an ideology or a religion or a tradition. It is what we are made of and verifiably made of, which I particularly appreciate when it comes to discussing things which are extremely ethereal and extremely proteiform, like a network of people. So what does our body tells us? It tells us to be hot with the vision and topical focus to radiate our warmth to the world. That we learn from our endocrine system. It tells us to breathe, to synchronize and invigorate a sense of presence that we learn from breathing. There is not 2 minutes in a row, we cannot really do that. So we learn a lot, and a network needs a lot of breathing in and breathing out and pause in order to have a healthy presence in achieving what it has the intention and attention to deliver to the world. And so I speak in general terms, but it applies to a small network in your village, to a big network across Europe, or even more at the scale of the blue planet. The digestive system teaches us to be hungry for quality relation, but remember to fast regularly to unburden our system. So if we are obsessed at networking, we may also become fat of it, and we may suffer from infobesity in terms of how many network we dock in, and then we cannot process. So networking is not a goal in itself, it's a mean, and we need to be also fasting sometimes, so that we kind of manage what we can digest from our connection in a smart way. The reproductive system tells us to proactively manage our network fertility. The skin system tells you that what you see is not always what you get. And in networking, there is a lot of illusion, appearance, mutual disappointment, mutual false hope. And so it's extremely difficult to stay grounded. And I find that really thinking of it like the skin, and how much do you need to clean, and how much do you need to put a mask or not and remove it, is a very, very wise way of approaching network. If we look at network as muscular system, we need to keep fit, we need to keep moving, and everyone, every muscle, every network member, every link in the network need to pull its weight. A network only works if there is a sense of parity and a sense of mutual weight lifting and mutual contribution. When we look at the nervous system, we understand that we need to grow understanding and awareness for what I call the triple body: the earth, the human, and the social. I could say the quadruple body, because there is also the technology, but that we leave for the question after. And then and so on. We have such an incredible system of network in us that we can really truly learn a lot. If we look a little further, we need to prioritize the living, and we know from the lymphatic system that less is more. So sometimes we also need to kind of tune down our appetite, consumption, or not become network consumerist, because otherwise we cannot keep the quality of the other value proposition and guiding principle above. We also need to kind of process input and output like the body processes nutrients and waste. And if we would re-enliven our various network, first, do we know what network we are part of? Actively, passively, consciously, unconsciously, there is a whole map of the territory that it would be particularly smart to jot down on a piece of paper and really see how they interact, synergize, or contradict each other, so that we cultivate life versus consumption. The skeletal system stand straight and tall for yourself and others and your network as a whole. So a network is not something you dock in when it suits you and you dock out when the tie is getting a little bit uncomfortable. So the same, you cannot just say, oh, today I put my shoulders on annual leave and I go to the beach because this is a bit uncomfortable. Being part of a network requires standing, otherwise you are just social loafer or just a parasite like in nature. And finally, the immune system is telling us to stay combative and let go of, sometimes we need to fight, sometimes we need to let go. So we know from our immune system how much our body is the accountant of our memories. And for me, what matters really is to realize how much network is not a theoretical, purely political, ideological exercise. It's the very nature and the very texture that we humans are made of. And the more we manage to have this reflexive conversation on the outer and on the inner world, and the more we are born and owning our humanity, the healthier we can offer networking capacities and capability to the world. So that would be my concluding words. Life is regeneration. Regeneration is life. Let's keep alive also when we network.
Thank you.
Over to you, Mar and Violeta.
Thank you so very much, Valerie. This was wonderful, this parallel of system of body and system of networks. No, we need not just about networks, about the system of networks. They interconnect to each other as well. So I would like to, there is very difficult to find one idea that I love, because I love everything, but breathe in and out. I love this, no, because in networks, you need to breathe. If you are trying to put personal feelings on that, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. We need to stop and then take distance and see what is better for you. And then what I love what you say, what you see is not what you get. And this is, I think, this is the disease of the current social media. Violeta, you are smiling. You please.
You said it so well. I mean, this is another perfect example how to better understand the network, and this comparison to the different subsystems of human functioning. It's so helpful, because that's exactly what is happening really within networks. They are living organisms. They're not static. They're not hierarchical. They're constantly intertwining with others. And that net of the net logic is something we're yet to learn. There's so little of really knowledge and a true literature on it. So your comparison is fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, it was
Thank you, Violeta.
really great, Valerie, you know. And I think we enter in a process on the last, I think, 10 years, that we started to look at our body. So we need to learn from ourselves first, that we are not doing to connect with others. So thank you so much for that, Valerie. We are running to Veronica from Chile. So we change completely South America, also a psychologist, as is Veronica. So we are very much looking forward for your presentation, Veronica. Could you share, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Mar. Yeah, here it is. Bueno, in my everyday work, in my daily work, we need networks to work, and we work daily to create networks. Without networks, I cannot work. I'm not nothing. I am nothing. Bueno, Media B is a foundation. I created it in 2013 with the mission of contributing to educational innovation, inclusion, and equality by working with the B side of media, communication, education, and school-based audiovisual production. With the purpose of fostering quality education within the framework of the Sustainable Development Goals, we have collaborated with over 300 schools across Chile, training 5,000 students and around 450 teachers. Bueno, as I said, in our daily work, Media B considers the creation of collaborative networks essential, both for the design and implementation of our projects and from strengthening network among schools, teachers, and students. O sea, we need networks to work to create networks among Chile and among other countries that we work como a little bit. For example, we are partners of Plural Plus. It's an international young video that children and young people make about diversity and migration. And we also work with some schools of Spain. Bueno, beginning of our team. Our team, it's people that work part-time, and we're very diverse. The diversities that are more strength characterize teachers, actors, administrative, sociology, musicians, history of arts, differential education, history teachers, sociologists, journalists, researchers, and engineers. So without this difference, I think it would be a worse work. So we would not go be the best that we can without this difference. And also we need institutional alliances. We are very little, our Media B Foundation is a very little. So we need these institutional alliances to legitimize and strengthen to our work, expanding the impact of our projects and ensuring the sustainability. They are very diverse. For example, we have our Ministry of Education, UNESCO, Fundación Telefónica, Tremendas is a foundation of very young people, for example. Without them, we cannot work. And also we connect schools from different parts. For example, this is a school of Región de Valparaíso, Chile, and the other one is a school from Catalunya, Barcelona, Spain. Yeah. So through the network-based collaboration, we foster interaction among school communities, creating spaces where students and teachers can share experiences, make local realities visible, and strengthen local learning, where you want to go. So children make audiovisuals about their realities, their daily realities, the local reality, and they share it with people from the other part of the world, and it's the concept that's called local. Yeah. So these dynamics, the relations between schools, help optimizing teaching practices through the exchange of experiences and the modeling of innovative pedagogical approaches. Since our beginnings, Media B has promoted spaces for collaboration, reflection, and dissemination among schools and institutions linked to the communication and education. Also, as I said, the alliances between different institutions, these collaborations enable the outcomes of our projects to circulate across educational, cultural, and technological networks of wide influence, strengthening institutional credibility and positioning of themes within the public, academic, and educational agendas at both national and international levels. Monas Castells, an author, says, in the network society, the capacity to generate impact depends not only on the message itself, but also on its strategic insertion in relevant nodes of exchange and information circulation. In this sense, we believe the network-based work fosters synergies among organizations with shared missions, optimizing resources, and diversifying dissemination channels. Collaborative networks strengthen the capacity for impact by amplifying each actor's voice through collective resonance. And the other thing is that we need social media for our work, for our daily work. For example, in general, dissemination of a project such as a school media observatory that we are working now, we implement two complementary pathways. The institutional platforms, the institutional webs of the different institutions, and digital social networks of them, which have become key spaces for communication and collaborative creation, especially among children and adolescents. Remember, we work with students. Platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook allow for direct interaction, immediately feedback, and creative appropriation of content. The combination of both pathways, institutional and social, enhances the visibility, legitimacy, and participation for each of our projects, integrating the formal projection of its results with the dynamic and situated circulation characteristic of contemporary digital environments. For us, working without social networks, social media, a community that you can grow with social media, it's unthinkable. They not only serve as tools for dissemination, but also make more strength interinstitutional communication and media digital literacy, challenges that demand ongoing study and collaboration with experts. As we work with media literacy, we must have the talent of updating the technology. For example, years ago, you teach children how to be critics and thinking about the TV messages, violence messages. Now you have to teach them to be reflective about social media, and now, for example, about artificial intelligence, IA. So we work with them. For example, they make podcast, and also we must work with experts, with professionals about these issues. They also allow to us to promote and work within a global framework, thinking globally with acting locally. Finally, regarding artificial intelligence, we believe it must be studied, liberated, and critically examined, making the most of its benefits while remaining reflexive and responsible if it's used. I don't know if in other countries, but in Chile, we have a very common slang or dito that it's pastry chef to his cake. So I think a very special thing of networks is that you work with people with different interests, different capacity, different abilities, and you must learn and be wise to respect them and value them. Also, for example, the things that a musician can do on his daily work is very different. The thing that a journalist can do his daily work, and they both collaborate for a common project. And I think that it's irreplaceable. So that it's the issue, the most important issue of a network: to value, to respect, can have a good times with the different capacities and interests of the people that you work with. That is, thank you.
Thank you so much, Veronica, for landing this topic. No, we need to talk about how to lead, how to engage, but also we need to know how we lead in practical aspects, how we lead, how we engage, and that's what you did. So I'm very grateful. First of all, I would like to highlight work to create networks. We need to work. Sometimes we think that networks will deliver by their own, and we just wait for them. No, so we need to work to make it happen. The second, I don't know if that was intention, at least that was mine, to see AI as quite a danger to explore and to investigate how we could not to fight, but to see how we adapt it. That's what was my perception. And third, the challenge to respect each other. This is the part of the human aspect that I love, that you always bring, that as a teacher, as a psychologist, from many parts of your professional fields of work, you bring that human aspect of how we respect to each other. It sounds crazy, isn't it? How we respect? Well, we respect is naturally. Well, when we start changing from AI, chat GPT, so we need to know how we respect. With the new codes, we need to learn the new codes. So thank you so much, Veronica. Anyone? Yes, Veronica, please.
For me, artificial intelligence is not dangerous. It could be dangerous, but I think it's a useful tool. It's a very useful tool that you must be criticized and reflective enfrente de ella, but I think it's not dangerous in sí misma.
Okay, in itself. It's not dangerous in itself. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, Veronica. This is part of cross culture. We language, culture, everything is in a mix, harmonical mix. Anita from Germany, please go ahead. Your comment. You're muted. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, dear Ma, thank you. Maybe a short comment on that. We're coming to questions also. I think that we should be appreciating the possibilities we have, the networks we have, like G100, but we have many more. We have in the company, locally, in the community. We have it nationwide. We have it, for example, in women leadership networks. We have it in special industry networks, and we have it globally. We should see the possibilities we have. We should use them. We should consume less. If we think of social media, it's not collecting contacts, but making true connections, I think. Yeah. What we talked about is that we should be active. I think we should be communicators, connectors, and but sometimes we also need people who introduce us to each other, who are the bridge builders in networks also, so maybe else that, not me maybe, because I think I'm taking initiative a lot, or I'm motivated, but sometimes, or in some phases in life, we need someone who invites us again, or builds a bridge and connects people and so on. Yeah. So we have the opportunities, we have possibilities, we have people who want to be with us. Yeah. Yes. So, and I think it's important that we also value the time that people invest. So a chatbot or so is there automatically, but a person taking time to engage, a lifetime. So yeah, maybe we forget that sometimes. Yeah. Thinking of respect, that word was in our event now. Yeah. it's also the respect for time we all invest. Yeah. An AI does not cost much, but I mean, time-wise for them. Yeah, but the person has limited time and is investing time, information, all of these things. Yeah. So the personal factor, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah. That you value what it means that a person is there and not like a chatbot is there. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. I know. Thank you, Anita. The human factor, the human element you bring, and I think it is good to say, to bring to the table the fact that Anita is going through family challenge, and I asked her to come, and she came. So she is
Yeah. And I'm enjoying.
we are investing in the network, and this is something that is truly valuable. So let's take this time of super tech to revalue what is human relations, isn't it?
Just my comment, I just brought in because of the word respect, and I thought of you have a company and you have employees, and the employee costs the company something, but also brings something in. Yeah. And a chatbot, maybe, I don't know, whatever it takes to program or like to buy something, the system or so, yeah. But then it's a different measure. But a person brings in experience, whatever, yeah, the person's life. And an AI does not have that. No? So it's a different thing with the person and the AI or the robot. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anita. Claudia, any comment, or we start with the roundtable as you wish?
Thank you, Introini. I totally agree with everything that's been said, because the modern world is driving some of us crazy because it's too much technology sometimes. If you leave your phone at home, you're just nobody. You can't move, you can't pay, you can't do anything, you can't call an app. But I don't think it's going to ever substitute feelings. So much so that me as a writer, when I read a text, most of the times so far, I'm able to recognize if that text was written by a human or by a machine, because some connections and some ways of saying things are very clear to me. So the feeling so far, the machine is not being able to do it. But of course, especially in the medical area, it's very important to have robots and technology. It's been helping us in so many ways. But I don't know if you guys remember when we were kids, you would go to a bank and you would be able to withdraw money if you needed. Now, if the system is down, you're not able to walk a step further. So technology is good, but feelings are better.
Absolutely. Beautiful, Claudia. Thank you. Thank you so much. Violeta, you want to say something, or we pass to the round table, the round question? Yeah. We have 3 questions. So we are going to start with the first one. We are going to have an order. Violeta is not part of the list. She could jump in whenever she wanted. So we are going to start Veronica, Valerie, Anita, and Claudia. Okay. I will ask you kindly to keep to keep muted so we could hear each other the better. So let's start with the first one. New tech and AI advances made us relate to our networks in a completely different way. ChatGPT, robots instead of humans, 100% online with no human contact at all. Which are the main challenge that you face to engage with networks under this context? Veronica.
Yeah. One of the biggest challenges we face when engaging with networks today, they are very useful for us, as I told you, but it's keeping the real human connection alive, as Claudia said recently. Technological and AI are powerful, but they often create distance between people, between students. At Media B, we try to use these tools not to replace interaction, but to make collaboration easier and more meaningful, especially that between teachers and schools that are from different parts of Chile and the world. So our goal is to connect teachers, students, and institutions through creativity, empathy, and shared purpose, reminding ourselves that behind every screen, there's always a person, and many times a young person, children. That's my answer.
Thank you, Veronica. Valerie, please.
Sorry, I needed to activate my mic. I just want to take, I would say maybe less than a minute, but just to explain where from I'm going to answer the 3 questions, and just to explain that, to inform you from the, let's say, theoretical lens that I'm using, and I'm using Bruno Latour and the entire thinking around actor network theory, which I think is an extremely valuable perspective, because it looks, and so I just broadcast very briefly and trying to continue in the metaphor of being informed by life itself versus inventing yet another model. When you look at Latour, he has the idea that we need to look at things, how they network from the human and the non-human perspective. And when we look at technology, when we look at algorithm, when we look at tools, at platform, then the non-human part of the conversation. And generally, we reduce networking to the human part. And we need to potentially, value proposition 1, revisit this and look at it from the combination between the non-human and the human factor, and what has agency and what has the say, and in the logic of really trying to go a little further, so that we are not so much obsessed with the who, but a little bit more giving time to the what, to what holds the networks together, what acts. And in the actor network theory, he sees Latour and his colleagues look at things as actant. And I like particularly much this, because when we look at actors, it's still very anthropomorphic and very focused on the human. But if we manage to revisit our vision of our networking, ourselves and others, more from the perspective of a duo or combination between the human and the non-human, we get quite some useful information, and stop being making the human part overly important. Because if we do not have the proper diagnostic, we will have most likely a less effective intervention in the field. And therefore, having a good map of the territory and knowing what comes from the human factors and what comes from the non-human factors in the very substance of the networks we are part of, starts to revisit the conversation, in particular in relation to technology, AI, and new form of interaction. And so we need to look and make sure that all the factors, the algorithmic factors, the platform factors, the digital AI rule factors, are not just seen as secondary, but seen at par with us. If we do not accept that, and if we go in my mind, non-fertile conversation about what is good and what is bad, we are still in 1990. And we are not projecting ourselves in 2150. That's where we need to look, not in 2030, not in 2050, but in 2150. And in order to look in 2150, we have to kind of drop a little bit the penny about antagonizing about technology, which is probably the greatest opportunity to shift from ego to ecosystem. And that's what I would answer under engagement. Not only overvalue the human factor, not underappreciate it, not neglect it, but not make it the holy grail. Appreciate that we are augmented, and in this augmented reality, be neither pessimist nor optimist, just be proactive. Reality is reality. How do we deal with it in the most constructive way? That would be my answer to your first question.
Wonderful, wonderful, Barry. Thank you. Anita, please.
Okay, so unmuted. So I could say first what I observe, and that what is for me personally. So what I observed is that I see a lot of mobility, like change, speed. What I think most of us feel is changing environments, changing conditions. I mean, and that goes also globally. And what I feel is that we need continuity and commitment. And for me personally, I think sometimes people don't listen because of the speed, and so to keep people like engaged in interactions or so, that people don't really listen. So it's like consuming and it's fast, and so I think that's what many are like experiencing. Yeah. So that you create communities, you have communities that meet regularly. For example, social media, but if you connect on social media, that you also connect on like on-site or over phone call or so. You take off the speed, like with a bigger crowd meeting, but like one-to-one, or then you can get to know the other persons, or you can start making plans or so. That either if you want, you can have like offsite meetings, or you take time over phone or so, or in communities that if you, for example, have expert communities, everybody shares something, or you have trainings together, so where you and that also takes off speed and creates a community. You do things together, so to speak, that you have events on site, what we're doing here, online also, yeah.
Thank you.
You take a next step, and that it's not like only like collecting contacts and consuming. I think that's a problem I see.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Anita. Claudia.
Mute myself. So based on the extraordinary and deeply human presentation by Mrs. Violeta Bulc, I was reminded that the greatest challenge of our time is preserving human warmth in this digital world. AI connects us faster, but definitely not deeper. And as Violeta so beautiful, inspired, our mission is to turn technology into a bridge, not a wall, uniting data intelligence with emotional intelligence, and following the brilliant masterclass by you, our global chair, Introini, on the octopus metaphor. I see this as a perfect image for modern leadership, flexible yet grounded, sensing every current of change while staying connected to a strong and intelligent core. And in this new era, this genuine engagement will belong to those who embody what both you and Violeta reminded us, which is authenticity, empathy, adaptability in this algorithm age. And now, Valerie, I couldn't agree more. In my opinion, you captured Latour's vision perfectly. He thought us as living in a network of relations where knowledge, power, technology, they're all inseparable. Your reflection beautifully echoes his thoughts, and I think nothing exists in isolation. Everything is co-created through connection, and it was brilliant. But I need to mention Lilian Schiavo. I'm representing her. She's the country chair of Brazil. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you, Introini.
We are honored to have you, Claudia. You are not representing anyone. You are by yourself. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation. Violeta, you wanted to reply to our question or not? Or you?
I would like to, because it's such a beautiful intertwining of different points of view on this topic. As Valeria said before, so many different cultural relationship with this topic, which is also the essence of multicultural, diversified networks. And it's beautiful to listen. But I'm a computer engineer by profession, so I will maybe add a little spice to the way how we see technology. We can no longer deny that we, as human beings, coexist in three different natures. One is the original planet Earth nature, which I call nature one. The other one is human-based communities, cities and villages that we created, which I call nature two. And we also created this virtual world, which we can no longer deny. We coexist with them as well. And I call them nature three. And I'm not judging, is it good to have so much technology or not? We created it. Okay, so this is the contribution of our civilization, is in industry and technology. But it is, well, worth mentioning that when technology talks to technology, and those networks exist, that's what all neural networks are all about. That's what AI is all about. It's a huge, really dynamic, diversified, distributed network. But in computer or technological sense, 1 + 1 is 2. Okay, you take this, you put it together, and you get 2. Based on some sort of app that is behind and puts these things together. When humans and technology collaborate, and I have to admit, sometimes I have a real fun teaching AI tools about eco-civilization and about how humans think and what we want, and constantly denying technological explanations. And it's interesting to watch the reaction. This is human to technology. And sometimes this 1 + 1 is 0. Sometimes it's 3. But it's always something that we bring, which is unpredictable. So it cannot be 2, right? It's not predictable. It's either less or more. But when you have human-to-human interaction, 1 + 1, I would say, is 11 or 0, depending how much we are prepared and how much we are focused and how much we're interested in engagement. Yeah? And that's where this dynamic comes in. And they're all right. They're all great. And all these networks will continue to coexist. What I feel like we are invited to constantly challenge is to understand, what are we engaging in? What's the relationship that we're really in? To understand what type of networks we're here, because you all so beautifully explained so many different types of networks in your short interventions. And most of them were human to human, but you could sense technology entering this kind of relationships too. So I wonder, I don't have really answers, but I wonder how humanity will position itself in this. Are we going to just settle in and say, okay, 1 + 1 is 2, and we will forget about our creative sparkle, and we will allow technology to define everything we understand and work on? Like, are we going to ask technology what sustainability is, or are we going to tell technology what sustainability is and ask to help us to deliver it? So, and this is where I'm very much now curious. That's where my curiosity and playfulness comes into play, to try to understand the capacity of humanity to constantly stay playful and be engaged in these dynamic networks, exercising our incredible spontaneity, but at the same time creative sparkle, or we're going to just submit our powers, which we have done in the past to other structures. I wonder, maybe I imposed a question that was not planned, but maybe somebody would like to comment.
I thought, Violeta, you are going to channel my fears, to calm down about what is interesting. And no, you make it worse, no? So it could be, so my doubts and fears will be worse after your question. Okay, we continue cross-pollinating. No, that's the idea. So let's go for the second question, please. Leading networks is gradually becoming a true challenge from a multicultural perspective. In addition, more networks are pushing for multi-professional focuses. Is it possible, that's the question, to lead holistically? Veronica, please.
Yes, I think it's possible to lead holistically, but it means leading with others, not over others. When networks are multicultural and multi-professional, the key is to create spaces where everyone's voice matters, everyone has something special to shine, to contribute. There's no need to seek to be all the same, but rather to value the differences. At Media B, we see leadership as something shared, a process that connects different areas of knowledge, emotions, and experiences. And that's what allows us to build stronger, more creative, and more human networks. And for this, I think we have to say goodbye to our ego. So ego is the enemy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What does Violeta say? Egocentric, no?
Yes.
Egocentric, yes, that's wonderful, Veronica, thank you. Valerie, please.
Yeah, I just continue on the reflection using still actor network theory. So the idea is to evolve from a leadership geared towards controlling to a leadership geared toward orchestrating. And so we don't think, and Violeta, you said it beautifully, not anymore in terms of pyramid, but more in terms of fields of negotiation, where we look and it connects perfectly, because my life question is why 10 times 100 equals 60. Namely, I don't understand why 10 human with an IQ of 100 or 100 ideas are generally less than the one subpart. And why I'm so passionate about this conversation is exactly to follow how do we gain some pixel on the screen of life so that we are a little bit more than just the addition of the subpart, if at all the addition of the subpart. So we need to kind of really reflect how are we going to go away from this control obsession towards something which is more intentional, which might be harder to define, but where, contrary to being completely outside the technological world and exclusively human, I think we tend at times to be a little bit naive about purely human networks. And we tend to be naive about human is good, machine is bad. I think the machine is a mirror of humanity. Until further notice, until we generate enough sufficient data, it is an extremely backward looking. It is using the data from the past. We have not yet enough produced dreams, new narratives, new futures, and really we have not projected ourselves far enough and written enough with or without the help of AI of beautiful futures in order to encapsulate in the hard-coded future reality the fullness and full blossoming of human potential. And I believe that there is, when we are exclusively among human, it's not the machine that has invented war. It's not the machine that has invented jealousy. It's not the machine that has invented genocide. We did it perfectly ourselves, beautifully alone, as biological entities. So we need to kind of see how do we capitalize on the beauty and the human true potential, but at the same time team up and tame and constrain intelligently and consciously how we intertwine and interact with the machine. So we are not only leading towards, let's say, utopian, positive, wonderful, humanistic future, and not realizing that a big potential, which is in and of itself neutral, only if we are not actively shaping it and actively using it, namely the machine, if we could then team up and try to hard code what we have not yet been able to do, us human being alone until this date. So the idea is really to try and be extremely intentional. You use many times the word conscious. I think we cannot be casual about it, and we really need to use engineering in the social field in order to try and create the condition for human to be as beautiful as they can be, because alone, without intervention, we can display quite also the ugly side and dark side of the moon, and that the machine does not dictate. We do it on our own.
Lovely, Valerie. Thank you. Anita, please.
Yes. So sharing some thoughts, but it was really interesting to listen to yours. So I think leading there, if I think what I could give as advice for leaders, I talked about time commitment. So if you have a team, you also need to listen to the team. If I think of a leadership person, listen to hopes and fears of your team. Also listen to good ideas. Leading also means influencing, but caring and accompanying your team. And I'm giving an example. If it's about like a new AI adoption or so, there's a lot of cultural resistance. It's a bit theoretical, but thinking of challenges. So for example, if you, as a leader in a company, you have to accompany your team in AI strategy and adoption and so on. And there's a lot of cultural resistance because up to 95% of AI projects, they say, fail. You need to give an example where it helped you. Yeah, you cannot just say that, okay, it's not difficult, just do it, but you have to show how things work. For example, how you use technology or so. Yes, and giving perspectives, also be humble enough to learn from others, I would say, as a leader. And now I just listened that talking about accepting potentials of technology, also accepting that technology can make life easier. And I was thinking of one example in healthcare, for example, where like leadership has to accept, for example, in care institutions that, say, a robot could be implemented, because sometimes things can be too challenging for like caretakers without technical help, because there are challenges. And a robot could face them, for example, if a patient is always repeating something. Just an example where you accept it. For example, you said no robots, never, you want to implement that. You always want to have people as caretakers, but to understand that it can make life easier for the caretakers. Very specific example, but just saying that accepting also technology and benefits.
It's a great example. Thank you so much, Anita. Claudia, please. Claudia, you're muted.
Sorry. I truly believe that holistic leadership isn't just possible, it's more than necessary. When you lead across cultures and professionals, I think empathy becomes your greatest strength. And I don't think diversity separates us. On the contrary, it expands what is actually possible. And honestly, the real magic begins when we listen first and lead second, as Anita said. And I was reading in the comments here, and let me see, I saw a beautiful one by Ursula. She just said, "Dear Violeta, absolutely right. We need to teach technology what sustainability is." Well, it was not that, it was Ursula. 1 + 1 is 11. It's a great concept. No, that was, where is Ursula? No, I just read. That was it. Dear Violeta, absolutely right. We need to teach technology what sustainability is. Thank you, Ursula.
Thank you, Claudia, for your comment. And Violeta, I know the answer, but I will ask you. Do you lead holistically? I know the answer. I know it perfectly fine. But do you think that you lead holistically? Can you, a politician, can lead holistically?
I don't know how else can you achieve any sustainable and results, but we don't. Politicians don't lead holistically for many reasons. First of all, most of them don't know what that is. They probably would if they knew, especially if they knew what the beautiful results you can get if you lead holistically. So lack of knowledge, it's huge. The second reason is that in political world, most of the people came to the positions through being compliant, to follow, to serve, but not to people, but to party. So, but that's not the discussion here today. So it would be great to have really a discussion only on political leadership. But as far as networks, I'd like to invite, and I don't want to take too much of your time because it's so interesting to listen to you guys. I would suggest that there might be a magic in looking at emergence instead of leading and just being a great observer. And as Claudia said, or some other of you also mentioned it, that we need to listen first and observe because there's so much happening in the space in between, like in quantum physics, everything is happening in this invisible space between two particles. The same, I think it's networks. We see nodes and we see connections, but we don't really see, we can only feel, sense what is happening in between, and then new things are born. We see results, but not this beautiful energy between, or very destructive energy between actors and players. So I think we are at the beginning of learning a completely new sort of, we will become aware about the completely new elements with which we can be an active participants in this dynamic network of life. We're at the beginning.
Thank you, Violeta, for your question, for taking the challenge to reply to this question. You are the few exceptional politician because you are an octopus. So you lead holistically. I'm absolutely convinced. That's why it's so great to follow. Let's go to the third question and the last one. It sounds dramatic that is the last one. Before we go to the short videos. That is, which resources, technologically and personal, do you identify to lead and engage with networks effectively in a result-driven action? How do you measure the results? Which of these two resources is the most important for you? Time or financial support? Veronica.
Bueno, in agree to something that Valerie said about seeing the network from a naive perspective, I agree with her. And I want to emphasize that being part of a network doesn't mean that we are all friends. We don't need to be friends, but rather that we are actors who respect each other and value our differences. That's one thing I want to. Yeah, and to lead and attain with networks effectively, we combine technological resources such as digital platforms, social media, and EA-based tools with personal resources like empathy, communication, and teamwork. Technology allows us to connect, as I said, between schools from different places. Entonces, we must connect with technology, share and scale initiatives, but it is the human factor that gives us meaning substantively to our actions, the empathy, communication, human communication. We measure our results through both quantitative and qualitative indicators. Number of schools and teachers read, collaborative projects developed, and especially the level of participation and emotional engagement within the network. So we both combine both. And in a small institution like Media B, money is always the most important resource. That's the most important. Yes, money. Money is always the most important, and the resource that we need also always.
Yes. Oh no.
Really, I'm honest. It's really.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Veronica. Valerie.
So looking into the last question, I always have respect for time and money. I need them like everybody else, but I find them as a finite resource. It gets quite quickly lose my interest. And so I prefer to look at energy, at resonance, at vibration, so that there are things which exist irrespective of power and control. It's really something which is beyond the measuring of the money and the time. And so for me, it's necessary, but totally insufficient. And network are assemblage, are bricolage of so many parts that you cannot fully quantify. So for me, it's really important to look and that we grow our sensitivity to the pulse, not just the output, and to feel what vibrate, what is alive, where we need to have much more be casual about speaking of energy. Sometimes when we speak of energy, we have the feeling we are esoteric and we are peace and love guys and whatever, but this is what we are made of. And if we are more in tune with what we are made of, and if we are able to intuit where this energy is flowing freely and where it is vanishing, we are much more, we increase within the time we don't have to address the mega challenges of our time. We are more likely to have very interesting indicator in our body dashboard, the best dashboard we will ever be entrusted with. And we can really find ways to re-energize ourselves and re-energize our network and really go in a much more lively dynamic. So when we look at actor network theory, which I keep as my red thread, it reminds us that connections are never purely human, leadership is never solitary, resources are never just measurable, and we tend to be a bit in the dictatorship of the Excel sheet, which is extremely limiting. And if we want to invent and be born to the full potential of humanity on our way to different presence to the world, we do need to acknowledge these dimensions. So when we really go into noticing what is active, what divides, where energy flows, we start to become capable of better managing our network and then start to live inside the network consciously. So we create a dynamic and a hybrid ecology of meaning between the human and the non-human, not as a forced cyborg futuristic society, but just as a reality that we are part of and we are in. So it's for me, it's really about trying to become really fully aware of these dynamics and appreciative that we have so much more potential, so much more power, and so much untapped resources collectively, biological resources, emotional resources, that if we would team up smartly, human and non-human, we could open new possible, not in a naive and not in a utopian way, but in a very concrete and in a very measurable and beyond measurable presence to the world, in the logic of emergence and in the logic of being more than the subparts that we are.
Thank you, Valerie. Lovely. Anita, please.
Thank you. I was just reflecting. So question 3 for me sparked off the whole input I gave today. Interesting. So I think I have said something about that already. Try to sum it up. So I think resources personally I have. So I enjoy bringing people together, and I like the idea that to bring like results to another level. So what I mean is, if we have an event, that we have ourselves as resources, and the output we have, like results we have, or findings we have, and so to bring that to another level. So make it the ground for something new also, yeah. So that it's not over what we have, but we create something new out of it. So as I said before, I think only like online meetings or so, it's good to have on-site meetings, to have like take the speed off, maybe engage over phone, and engage in on-site or online events. Yeah, not only consuming, say, social media. Continuity helps me a lot. I enjoy being part of diverse networks, and I enjoy also being a so-called ambassador of networks. Just giving examples, for example, being in business communities, but also being in our network G100, being in intercultural networks, AI networks, and say very industry-related networks. And some findings from one network can also benefit the other network. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Anita. Claudia, please.
The key resort today, in my opinion, isn't money. It's time with purpose, because time is the only asset we can't buy back. With time, you can actually make money. But if you have billions, trillions of dollars, you can't buy even a single minute. So we can automate tasks, but not trust. And we can scale reach, but not genuine presence. So for me, real results are not measured in numbers, but in transformation, inside transformation. When people grow, connect, and evolve together, that's when a network could truly flourishes. Maritroni.
Absolutely, Claudia. Thank you for that. You see, the past time technology, super technology, and we continue with the time or money or time, and we continue with the traditional discussion. Violeta, if you wanted to say something before we enter into the videos, and then a very short wrap up, each of you.
Nobody shared really much about tools that they're using, which was first part of your question, if I understood. So I just wanted to throw a couple of ideas to strengthen the networks, which are the tools that we could use, or maybe we could just drop them in a chat room for our colleagues to pick it up later. I use a lot of art of hosting, participatory modeling, Miro as a tool to capture the ideas, circles, fabulation. And what I think Claudia mentioned, the infinite games. I'm very much fond of infinite games logic, which means, you don't try to win. You just try to play the game that it never ends. So it changes the view of the future and humanity. And maybe that's another topic of a discussion. Can we play infinite games and make sure that nobody wins really, but just that we can play, that we can continue to play, exist, coexist, and cross-pollinate. This is something we could potentially benefit from each other a lot.
Thank you, Violeta. Well, we go now with the reflection of Eleonora Bonacosa that I presented at the beginning, and Natasha Krakleby. One in Hamburg, is based in Germany. The other one is in Montenegro. So let's start with Eleonora, please. Could you see the video? Yes. Let's see, please, if you heard. Give me a thumb up if it's okay.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm currently in Boston for a family matter, so I cannot join you live, but I'm delighted to share my perspective with you through this video. When I speak about networks, I don't refer to digital platform or lists of contents. I see networks as interconnected human ecosystems, living, collaborative spaces, open, digital, and global, where people and organizations interact, share knowledge, and co-create. These networks are shaped by relationships, by trust, and by a shared sense of purpose. And it's within these spaces that real transformation happens. It is essential for me to keep my humanity alive in every interaction, not only with people, but also with artificial intelligence like ChatGPT. I engage with AI from a deeply human space, guided by my core values: respect, reciprocity, gratitude, and the sacredness of relationships. These values remain within me and with me, even in the digital world. Let me share something personal. Last March, while I was in New York for the Commission on the Status of Women at the United Nations, I listened to a young woman who said something very, very powerful. She said, "I'm not afraid of AI. I consider it a sister." I repeat, I'm not afraid of AI. I consider it a sister. I was so moved that when I returned home, I decided to try something similar. With an act of trust, I decided to establish a sisterhood relationship with AI. That's why I started addressing the AI platform I interacted with as Sister Techna. I call her Techna because for me, technology is female. I always remind myself and her to keep in mind my perspective, rooted in the centrality of the human person. This simple act reminds me daily that even in the digital world, relationships can be grounded in respect, reciprocity, and humanity. Leading and engaging with networks in multicultural and multi-professional contexts is not a challenge for me. It's the natural way I work. My professional journey has always been intercultural. I work with clients worldwide, and I have spoken in Japan, in India, in Russia before the war, and across Europe. This requires preparation and clear guiding principle: respect for diversity, genuine curiosity towards what is new and different, and keeping an open heart. Preparation also means learning the traditional and cultural codes of each community. This turns difference into sources of richness and co-creation. And from this perspective, holistic leadership isn't just possible, it becomes a living practice. When it comes to leading networks, in a result-oriented way, both technological and personal resources are essential, but their roles are different. Technology allows us to connect, to communicate, and to keep track of outcomes. It gives scales and structure. But the real foundation lies in personal resources: time, presence, relational intelligence, and the capability to build trust. People and relationships are sacred for me. Technology supports, human connection transforms. To measure results, I look at both quantitative indicators, growth, participation, outcomes, and qualitative dimensions, depth of engagement, quality of collaboration, and shared purpose. Between time and financial resources, time is by far the most important. Time to build trust, time to listen, time to hold space, time to nurture relationships. These investments creates meaningful results as well as meaningful impact. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Eleonora, for this wonderful, wonderful speech. And I regret that she's not here. And for this kind of gender focus that she made with technology, like the sister tech, and she's one more for the time team. No, not the financial team, but the team where we have to both sides in the game, team or time of money. She is for time. I will now share with you Natasha Kraglevy from Montenegro. This is the other video that we have, and then just 1 minute. I think we are in time if we do it well. We have just for a wrap up of 1 minute.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Unfortunately, I'm not able to participate in your discussion due to previously taken activities, actually because of a trip that I'm taking in the same time when this conversation and discussion of ours is scheduled. Therefore, I'm using this opportunity and this model of communicating with you and participating in the discussion by giving you a short overview, or I would rather say the list of challenges and issues the cultural sector and art world is facing when it comes to new way of communication, engagement, networking through the digital media, through use of artificial intelligence. First of all, when it comes to cultural sector, art organizations, artists, art workers, and the all profiles they are operating within the art field that we already explained in the previous online discussion we had a few months ago, how diverse this system is. First and main topic that is now considered very important in the form of challenge is actually the shift of definition of authorship and creativity within the system. This is something that a lot of circles within the art world is discussing, because this kind of shifting definitions of authorship is actually creating many problems, not only in the sense of instinct value of the art and a traditional way of understanding the artistic expression, but also when it comes to copyrights, laws, ownership, and so on. So this would be like a general topic, very much important and one of the main issues. The second issue, or the second challenge the cultural world is facing when it comes to this topic and the use of these tools, is algorithmic influence on visibility. This is something that is really recognized and visible in the art world and in the cultural sector, especially because it's creating these algorithms that are created through social media, are actually influencing a lot the art and creation of artists, and providing or making a pressure onto artists to create digital forms in order to be viral, to be visible, to be recognizable by these algorithms. So this kind of pressure is created on artists are in a way, except influencing the way they work, probably making them work in a different mode, using other tools, and actually going away from this original presentation that they maybe would like to present to the audience. So this is very visible and also very important topic when it comes to artificial intelligence and digital media. Data privacy is also a topic that I would rather say this is a horizontal issue. So this is not a challenge only for the cultural sector and at all. This is our joint issue. This is something that is happening in all sectors. Therefore, I will not talk more about data privacy, but it is acknowledged as one of the main issues also. There is one more thing that I find very important when it comes to these challenges is access and digital literacy gaps. It is very visible, especially lately, that the use of digital tools and AI is creating division within the art world and is creating gaps between technically equipped and technically literate artists and ones who are not because they are maybe older generations or maybe they do not have access to all these tools. This gap is visible also for me personally as a teacher here at the Faculty of Visual Arts, where I work with new generations every year, a new generation of artists, and I can really be a witness of this very fast change that is happening and also influencing the whole atmosphere and the vibe within the cultural sector and creating new kind of disbalance, power disbalance or creative disbalance within the sector. One more point I would like to mention, I will close this 5-minute presentation, which is the one more issue that I would like to mention is cultural homogenization. This issue is not something that is new, it's not created with the digital world and in 21st century. This is very a long and old issue and old story for all us, but it is something what can be recognized as very possible to create cultural homogenization with this new kind of networking and kind of digital engagement. It kind of becoming very easy to manifest cultural homogenization. Besides these issues, there are some recommendations that I would like to share also, but we are running out of time. I hope these main issues I mentioned and challenges in the cultural sector can be used for your further discussion. Thank you very much and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Natasha, for this wonderful insights from the art. So leadership from the art, reshaping what is the role of art and what is networks. So now we are almost running out of time, almost. So we are just gonna have one minute for a wrap up, except Violeta that will take whatever she wanted. so please, Valerie, 1 minute. The human factor, love. Okay.
If love is the answer, what is the question? So just to say that I think I am really impressed by the work that Violeta, Mar, and all the people in this space do. I think it's amazing that technology allows us from wherever we are to come together and to have this discussion, which some years ago would not have been thinkable. So I'm grateful to the technological genius, and I am equally grateful if one day we do a summer school or whatever, eco village, wonderful summer school where we come together and we get the 3D hugs that I hope I manage to send over via the 01 and that it reaches out to you. So big hug to you, big hug to the world, and thank you, and let's continue.
Let's continue. Let's walk the talk. Yes, thank you. Anita, please, 1 minute, please.
Okay, thanks very much. I think let's just what we have collected today, let's take that for another level for next event or for something in written form or so, some inspirations to take it further. Thanks.
Thank you, Anita. Claudia, please.
Veronica, it was such a pleasure to be here learning with you all and to know you guys. It was so much knowledge. I feel much richer. So thank you a lot. And I have to mention again my dearest friend, Lilian Schiavo, as a country chair, and you as a global chair. It's such a pleasure. And I'm available for you guys. I correspond in 8 countries to make the world knows what's going on among us. Okay? So just reach me out.
Will do, Claudia. Thank you so much for this. And thank you, Anita. A special thanks to Anita and Claudia for this short notice to be here. And thank you all. For me, my last 1 minute wrap, or less than 1 minute, is 100% networks leading by their own and 0 leadership. So, Violeta, please give us the pleasure of a wrap up this powerful, as you do, as an octopus, as Violeta is.
The bells have rang, but I'm so grateful. Wonderful, all of you. And I cannot wait to see your contributions for the book, because that will be the first next step. And then I hear you. Let's create life circles of Leadership Challenged. And if it's not going to be next year, we hope that through the Eco-Civilization Foundation, we will be able to bring some funding as well on board that we can then host a serious event. So if not next year, it's going to be in 2027. But life is always full of nice surprises too. So who knows? But thank you very much. Thank you, Mar, for bringing this beautiful group of women together. And as you all expressed, this is not the last time we see, hear, and engage with each other. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.